Okay, guys, I found this thing on the internet, and I have no idea how I found it, and I don't usually question those things because I just find things and then I use them in different ways, and it's called the Watcher Files, and I'll tell you who wrote it when I get to the bottom of it. But it has information about what I call 4D societies. Now, they're going to say they're 5D, and I'm not going to argue about what it's called, because you guys know that the way I look at things, there is no 3D and a sign, and now we're in 4D, like we go from Oklahoma to Texas. No, that doesn't exist. They're just vibrations. So I'm using terms based on what I read out on the planet that people are translating, and then I tell you what my perception of this is. Now, from my perception, the 5D that I call 5D is definitely not the same as their 5D. And the 5D that they're talking about is in 4D. And it is still in time-space reality. And there are still layers, like lower and higher layers, which is not true in my 5D. Okay? In what I believe these guys, I think they go up like way high, like 10, 11, 12, 13, something. I don't know how high they say it goes. But in my 5D, once you get to 5D proper, then you're outside time and space, and there is no 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, because you're outside time and space. So there is no layers anymore, you know, once you get to my 5D, which is where I am going. Now, in their mind, if that's called something different, I'm certainly not going to argue with them. But from where I stand and what I'm saying, I'm just telling you that that's the difference from my perspective and what I see. So I've told you that 4D has service to self and service to others. And service to self is very much like it says. It's very it's based on a hierarchy, and it's based on you going up that hierarchy based on what you can do and whatever it is you have to do to get up that hierarchy to get to the top of the heap, even though there's never a top to the heap, but just get further along, further along. But I've had more of a hard time explaining service to other side. And service to other side, Jehovah's there, the angels are there, the ascended masters are there, and they're all in different layers. And still it's hard to explain because there are different layers within the layer. And they call those different dimensions, which I would call them different dimensions within the fourth dimension, maybe. I could say that. But they're different layers that are definitely within fourth dimension, because my fifth dimension, when you're in it good and proper, good and solid, you can step outside of time and space, and there is no more 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, none of that. No higher than, lower than, no people that are higher than you or lower than you at all in my fifth dimension. But there is in the fourth dimensions the people that I say they're in the fourth dimension, and they say they're in the fifth dimension and above. Okay? So, these people, and one of the groups is the Arturians. And evidently Edgar Cayce said that they were one of the most advanced civilizations in the galaxy. And there have been a lot of books written about them, and I guess this guy compiled a lot of information about them. He also has known someone from Arcturus who is living on Earth. And let's see. They teach negativity, fear, and guilt must be overcome. Now, you've got to understand that from my perspective, these people are getting closer and closer to my 5D. So a lot of what they teach is definitely, I agree with, 100%. It's just that getting to my 5D is much faster, and I do it myself, and I try to help starseeds remember so they can do it themselves, so they can get home, I guess, sort of faster. Let's see. They have very good starships. They have very advanced starships. Again, in my 5D, you don't need starships. The Arcturian society is governed by the elders. In my 5D, there is no government. They say they are revered by the people of Arcturus. In my 5D, nobody's revered over anyone else. Because the elders have advanced knowledge, wisdom, and extremely high vibrational frequencies. In my 5D, there are people that are higher vibrationally, but they're not revered. It's more like I've said, the people that are going to 5D are people who have come from 3D. So they have an incredible amount of knowledge to share with the beings that are higher vibrationally, supposedly. So it's different vibration. In my 5D, it's a difference of vibration. So the people coming from 3D are highly revered for their knowledge of 3D. The 3D people revere the people who are the higher vibrations to help them remember where they came from. So everybody shares, but everybody is treated equally for the knowledge that they have coming from wherever they're coming from. You get that? Okay? So then they describe what they look like, and physically what they look like. Their average lifespan is 350 to 400 years, and as you've said, well, as I've told you, in 4D they go up to about 500 years. So these guys are on the top end of the 4D spectrum. And let's see, highly developed spiritual nature has shown them how to avoid aging. And since they have the ability to transcend time and space, and I think what they can do is they can manipulate time and space. So they can get into time machines, and their spaceships can zoom and collapse time and space, sort of. They terminate life when the contract that has been arranged for their existence is finished. And there is no sickness. So you see, they've got a lot of aspects of my 5D, but like again, their contract feels very you have to do it type thing, which there are agreements in my 5D, but I wouldn't say contracts. Contracts is way too rigid, but I think the Arcturians, it's more rigid, but I could be wrong about that. Let's see. Their civilization is one that has transcended duality and lives in oneness. I think they definitely live more in oneness, but I don't think they're completely in oneness. Otherwise, why would they have ascended masters? You see, that doesn't jive with me. And let's see, for example, those in charge of taking care of children must have violet as the predominant color in their auras, for only the wisest souls are allowed to associate with the young. Whereas in my 5D, everybody is outside of time and space. They don't manipulate it, they are outside of it. They live in the now always, and no one is wiser than anyone else, and when there are children, everyone is in on it completely. So that's the difference between theirs and mine. The same is true for those who are allowed to give birth. Again, allowed. In my 5D, no one allows, or no one would tell anyone that they're allowed to give birth. That would never, ever happen in my 5D. There would never be elders in my 5D. Everyone is, it's just not like that. But you can see that's where it is in their 5D, which is, from my perspective, in 4D. And the vibration of both individuals involved are raised to the 7th dimensional frequency for the birthing process to ensure bringing in the most highly evolved souls. Well, if they're outside of time and space, why is there a 7th dimension? Do you see what I'm saying? Some of this doesn't make any sense. But this is what they say, which is why I say they're still in fourth dimension, they're still in time-space somewhat, and they're not completely in oneness or nowness. Otherwise, they wouldn't be talking about ascended masters, and they're in fifth, and they need to ascend to seventh, and then I guess come back down. Their actual reproduction is not performed in a physical sense. It's done through a kind of mind link, which certainly you can do that. There's a lot of ways that you can procreate in my 5D. So I'll tell you, this is like, I told you what the name of this thing is. You can go to it if you want. Then the new life form is taken to a special room that emanates the proper vibrational frequencies until the being is ready for integration into a family unit on Arcturus. See, all of that takes, what looks like it takes time, doesn't it to you? Whereas my 5D is outside of time. And then many of these beings from Arcturus are seeded onto other planets because the High Council has ordered this as a great act. See, all of that is 4D activity. That is not my 5D activity. That would not happen in my 5D. So whatever they want to call my area that I call 5D, they're welcome to call it something else, but that is not how my 5D works at all. Arcturus, there is not competition. There's not competition, but there are elders, and you do have to reach a certain phase before you can give birth or raising the child, which would, in my mind, imply some kind of, well, you must go from here to here. Maybe it's not competitive with someone else, but wouldn't it be at least competitive with yourself in order to want to raise that? Every thought, word, deed, and product is judged by its ability to raise the vibration closer to God. Yeah, that would not happen in my 5D either. So that's, again, that's 4D activities there. If it does not raise, then it does not exist on Arcturus. Then why? So that those two sentences don't even make sense. And see the confusion that I have with dealing with and talking about the 4D people and their many levels. Like I said, it's big. It's really, really big. So a person's frequency of vibration is directly related to the mastery he has over his body, emotions, thought, actions, and creations. See, that is all getting ready for my 5D. Like I talked to you guys, that you have to be in control of all that stuff before you can get to my 5D, because it's instant manifestation. So there is no practice. It's like this is a practice to get to my 5D. This right here. They have developed the ability to transcend the ego, the separatist lower fear-based self, which definitely you have to do that before you get to my 5D. Success is judged only in terms of measure of life frequency. There's no measure of success at all. If you get to my 5D, then no, well, there just isn't success. It's just not like that. Those are more 3D, 4D terms that we would never use in 5D and above. And then here's the kicker. There are machines that constantly check the vibrational frequency each individual on the planet is manifesting. I told you. Machines. There are no machines in my 5D. None at all. And they've got machines. And they've got starships. However they're made, they're still starships. And they've got machines monitoring things. Again, that's, to me, that's all 4D. If one particular Arcturian receives feedback that he is not meeting his own goals for evolution, then immediately the elders send teachers to help that individual. In my 5D, we do that ourselves. There's nobody else monitoring us or telling us we're not up to snuff or any of that. That's all, to me, 4D stuff. The starships are the finest in the entire universe, and I'm not going to argue that fact. That's all relative. There are so many different universes and multiverses and layers that maybe they are in that universe, but I think there are entities that would disagree with them on other universes. They say that they no longer use computers because they outgrew the need for them. They have other systems that are far more advanced, whereas my 5D, there are not any systems at all. There's only you. Let's see. They don't eat, but they ingest energy, which is, the breatharian pranic energy. Again, getting ready to get to my 5D, whatever I don't know, maybe they call what I call 5D something else. I don't know. Let's see. The Arcturians sleep for only a short time once a week, but for them it is a sacred time to soul travel and connect to higher realms of consciousness. See, where in my 5D you don't have to sleep to connect with anything. You can connect with everything anytime. And again, there would not be a reference to a higher realm of consciousness, because in my 5D there is no time-space, and so there is no higher or lower form of consciousness. There is just all consciousness. Let's see. They are able to assimilate information 100 times faster than the average human being on Earth, whereas in my 5D, you know everything all at once. You don't have to assimilate anything. Again, how I look at things, those are 4D. High level 4D, but still 4D. Let's see. Arturian ship has a room that strengthens the vibrations of all who enter, so that they will not be overwhelmed by even the strongest vibrations of planet Earth. The Arcturians are able to travel through time. They also have shuttlecraft that are global in shape, that they use for activating energy points and grids on the Earth, that have been lying dormant for many centuries. Again, this is like very 4D interactions. Great people, don't argue that, but they are they are working in 4D levels. They do have rules and regulations. They have governments. In my 4D, there's none of that. None of that. So the 4D that I'm going to, 5D I'm going to, is not any of that. So if that's what you have in mind, you definitely want to connect with these guys. Connect with these guys and go hang out with them. And if you think that's 5D, that's fine. Call it 5D. Call mine something else. I don't know what else to call mine. So, but that's not where I'm going at all. And I'll continue to describe my 5D more. So if there's more people talking like this out there, then maybe I can help y'all to differentiate. But this is not where I'm going at all. None of that or anything like that, where there's any of that kind of stuff, that's not where I'm going. So, yeah, again, if that's where you're going, man, I say hook up with these people. I'm pretty sure that they would come if you asked. So, if that sounds great to you, then connect with this watcher group and go hang out with them. I imagine I'm going to run out of time here. So, there you go. New information. So, huge hugs. I love you all. And we'll talk again soon. Bye now.